What up, ladies and gentlemen? We are the only three men in the world who apparently isn't in Nashville this weekend. We are here to talk about the latest Godzilla film, but this time is a Godzilla film out of Japan. So how about that? We're going to change things up just a little bit and even talk about some of the American Godzilla films by comparison. But joining us here tonight, we have our good buddy Rick Aragon joining us once again. How you doing today, Rick?
I'm doing good, getting ready to celebrate my birthday.
Are you going to dare tell us how old you are this night?
I'm going to be 1 year older than I am now.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna pretend like there's not a 4 at the beginning of that.
I will neither confirm nor deny.
You're not confirmable, is it denied? So there we go. And then also joining us on this episode this night is our good buddy Tom Connors joining us once again. How you doing today, Tom?
Hail, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. That's all I have to say.
Oh yeah, I was getting ready to play the Godzilla theme, but I was like, if I play like 3 seconds of that, we're getting popped on this episode. So it's like, we'll save that one for later on the show here tonight. We're live tonight on Rumble, on Twitch, and on YouTube. Obviously, I don't know why I kept forgetting the other one. I kept wanting to see Twitter, but we haven't streamed on Twitter in a while. But we got some people joining us here tonight. We got our good buddy Darth Scorpio joining us as well. We got Neozoic joining us on the show here tonight. I know Duke Nukem and Alex vs. Evil will be here later tonight as well too. We might have some other guests joining us for the show tonight. But we're here to talk about arguably the only real movie that I think I can say at this point of the year I'm actually excited to see at the end of 2023, and it is the Godzilla film. Now, I don't know how you feel about this, so I'll go ahead and pitch this over to you guys, but it feels like we're ending the year on a whimper. Now, part of that is mostly due to the fact that Hollywood decided that they were going to essentially push everything back to 2024 because of the writer's strike and the actor's strike, so they couldn't promote anything. So a whole bunch of movies got pushed back. I know it killed you that you didn't get to see Dune, that lovely epic cinema of a film right there. But as a result, we've pretty much got nothing towards like the end of the year. Like the big movie they expect us to be excited about is Aquaman, and I'm pretty sure you saw Aquaman trailers running in your theater when you went to go see this film. Big time. So
actually, I got no trailers because I saw it Wednesday, but yeah.
I just saw it Wednesday too. They didn't give you any trailers over there?
No, I was pissed because I was like 4 minutes late getting in the theater and they already started the movie.
Wow.
And I missed like the first 4 minutes of it. Yeah.
Wow.
A good old Regal. They were like, no, you're going to sit through all 25 minutes of these trailers for this movie.
Oh, no, I was mad because I got hung up in traffic. Yeah.
Yeah. But Rick, let me go ahead and start off with you. I mean, what's kind of your thoughts on how we're ending 2023 here? Because it feels like that we're ending on a worse note than we did last year with 2022, and last year had Babylon. That's saying a lot.
Well, yes, for better or worse, I think Aquaman is probably the last big film that's going to come out. I think that there were even some reports that the holiday season was going to depend on the success of Aquaman, and boy, we're in trouble if that's what's going to save cinema.
It's going to be a lean Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've got that, and a lot of these other smaller films that are up for award contentions. I know that May December just popped up on Netflix. I understand that Maestro's also popping up on Netflix pretty soon, and those are the ones that are just going to take the Oscars and all that good stuff. So it's going to be a quiet evening because again, the Marvels didn't do well. We don't have Dune, which probably would have been a big film if it had been released now. So yeah, it would be pretty quiet. I can't think of anything that I'm excited. Though my work friend is excited for Aquaman. I have to. He actually got tickets. He's excited.
Of course he did.
Yeah, I'm not excited for Aquaman. I'm pretty much done for the year, but I don't know. I disagree. It's been a bad year for movies. I'd say this is one of the better years in a while. We had some pretty good stuff come out this year. I mean, I liked Megan quite a bit. I liked Renfield, and then I enjoyed Tetris. Is probably still my favorite film of the year, right next to Godzilla Minus One now. Air was really good. Spoilers, I liked the movie. Yeah,
You know what?
like there's been quite a few good to decent films. I liked Sound of Freedom pretty good. I just recently saw The Shift. I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's been some stuff I've enjoyed this year quite a bit
yeah.
more than I
There's
have the
been
last couple.
Oppenheimer, Killers of the
Oh yeah,
Flower
I just saw that and
Moon.
loved that. Yeah,
Those
I want
are
to see the Killers of the Flower Moon yet. I haven't seen that.
those are good. And
Yeah.
then of course we
It's three
had
and a half hours though, so you got to
yeah,
prepare for that one.
I think I'll wait till it comes on streaming or video next year.
it's already out on DVD, so see if you can find it. And then
They need the money.
of course, we also have Barbie and Across the Spider Verse, literally two of the great films ever made in the history of cinema. So we've got that.
Yay. You know, Tom, I'm actually glad that you mentioned a film called Tetris because I hadn't talked about it here on this show, but that actually is one of my top movies of the year. I actually think it's one of my top 3 movies of the entire year. If you hadn't seen it, it was the one with I can't remember his name, the kid from the Kingsman movies, the first couple of
Taron
Kingsman movies.
Egerton.
Egerton, yeah, you know, the one who played
Mhm.
Elton John a couple
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah, that movie I actually saw that one a couple of months ago. That one's like a really good film. I think it's like an Apple Plus film, so it's exclusive to that platform. But it's like one of the better films like
Yeah.
of the year. And let's say I say it like this: it feels like for this year, the first half, I guess the first quarter of the year, the first couple of months was really rough, and then we started to get some better films towards like the end of the spring, a little bit before the fall, and now we're back to getting kind of like the bad films again.
I was gonna say, if anything, the bigger blockbusters were the bigger disappointments this year, probably.
Yeah, because I mean, only 2 big movies that we had was Oppenheimer and Barbie for the most part. But then again, it kind of mirrors what we had last year. Last year was really just Top Gun Maverick as far as like blockbuster films go. So
Oh,
if you're looking,
Avatar.
oh yeah, Avatar. I keep forgetting about it. Let's be honest.
I think people will buy the third one too. But anyway, we'll see.
I mean, we've been saying it so many times on this show. It's like who here actually watched Avatar, but apparently it was blowing up overseas, not here in the United States. So
I have yet to meet anybody in my real walking life.
No, I
That's
mean,
actually-
I was taken to the Avatar again by the same person that wanted to see Aquaman. Wanted to see Aquaman, so I did see Avatar all 7 9
are
hours.
you telling us that you need better friends? Is that what you're telling us right now on this show?
Oh, that's harsh. That's harsh. Nah, he's a good guy. He just likes these
Is he
types of films. Yeah, he is.
Well, yeah. So I mean, there's been a few films like that. My favorite film so far this year, I'm not sure if Tom has seen it or heard of it. It's a film called The Child. It's a South Korean film. Have you ever
Mm-mm.
heard of this movie? And
Oh
essentially,
man.
a quick little, well, a quick little wrap up on this movie is about a kid who's going to find his biological father. He goes all the way to South Korea. Then all of a sudden, he's being tailed by this hitman who has a creepy obsession with him. But then, of course, when he kind of gets to his father, they try to kill him too. So he has no idea who to trust, and it's this whole tangled up story. But it's a very good movie, especially if you like kind of those noir type action films. It's definitely one of the top ones I would recommend for you guys this year. But Outside of that, I mean, like I said, it's been like Oppenheimer, Tetris, Sound of Freedom was really good. We'll talk about this movie later on, The Covenant. So we've had some good movies, and then we've also had some complete stinkers. And I'm kind of surprised because Rick, you can attest to this. For like the first 4 months of the year, I said that House Party was the worst movie of the year by a lot, and as of right now, it's down to number 9. That's how bad
Oh
the tail
wow.
end of the year has been. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know there were some. I know it may be early to announce some, but I remember The Blackening, which you
Oh yeah,
had me to
it's up there.
watch, and Joyride. Yeah,
It's
Joyride.
up there.
Yeah.
80 for Brady, which you suffer through, that's up there too. So yeah,
Actually, I prefer 80 for Brady over Club the Next Chapter, and that was basic. You assigned that to me, and that was you ruining my trip to Denver because to see it when I was up there.
no.
So
See what you were supposed to do. Is you were supposed to go with Christian Toto, so you both could suffer together, but you didn't do that. So that's on you.
now we went to the Rockies game. We wanted to do something that was actually fun. Well, fun like. Oh, I had a good time.
It's the Rockies. They're up and coming, so I can't really say too much against them. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's pretty much how the trajectory of this year has been. It's just kind of, it feels like it's been up and down, and now we're just kind of on the downward path. Because I mean, outside of this, there's no big release next week. In 2 weeks, we have Wonka, and if you're excited about that film, then I think after that it's Aquaman, and then you're pretty much done for the year. So that best and worst show of 2023 is coming up very very fast. I gotta start putting guests together for that show as we speak. So.
I'm excited for Wonka.
Why? Why would you be excited for Walkers?
um,
Oh no, did we lose him right when he was about to say why exactly?
oh
Yeah,
well no I guess I don't know I have to be excited about something.
that's one hell of an attitude to have there. We'll just leave it at that.
Well,
Ro-
since I lost Dune, I might as well just have another Timothy Chalamet movie to tie me over.
eh, I can go without any of Tim Chalamet movies to be completely honest with you, but that's just my opinion. Shout out to Rob who's listening to us right now as well. He's in Tennessee this week. Obviously, he's partying up in Nashville with his family. Apparently, they got like a big football game going over there. I mean, I don't know how big the football game is. They're playing the Colts. It's gonna be outside. It's gonna be cold. Who cares? This team stinks.
It's the experience. It's the experience. You know, I've gone to a couple of football games, and you know me, I'm not big on football, but I enjoy being there with the atmosphere and the fans and all that good stuff. So, and I guess he likes the team, so it's You know, it's good for him.
I can say this. Good for him going at a good time of the year because the 2 times I went to Nashville, one was Memorial Day. Memorial Day was actually great experience. But then I made the mistake of going back there a couple of months later for 4th of July, and that was an absolute shit show. Like we couldn't get anywhere 5 blocks near downtown in a car that day, and then we ended up going the going back down there about midnight or so. So it was like literally as all these drunken zombies were like walking in like in the middle of the street. It looked like Walking Dead. So
Yeah, but you have to also remember that Rob now is rolling in the big bucks. He is living up the Biden boom, unlike the rest
mhm.
of us. So
Like I said,
that's what.
he's unironically the only person whose life has actually gotten better under Biden. So I mean, he's our unicorn, and we
Yeah.
love him for it. So. Well, let's go ahead and get this whole thing started talking about Godzilla Minus One. So before we get into this movie, I want to kind of rewind back to some of the other Godzilla movies that we've gotten out of Hollywood over the last several years because I think we've gotten at least one decent Godzilla movie, and then it's been kind of a lot of crap in between then. Now, if you want to go as far back as the 1998 film, the one that almost broke relations with America and Japan to begin with, that film was just absolutely awful. That was during a time where everyone wanted to do CGI because it was like the new cool thing, but nobody had the ability to put a movie together that looked good on CGI. Like a good example will be the Power Rangers movie. If you guys remember that one, that was an awful looking film when they tried to do computer effects to it, and yeah, that everyone notoriously crapped on over that. I think even the entire country of Japan crapped all over that film as well. So it wasn't a good look for us for almost 2 decades.
No,
That film.
Jacob, I'm sorry to interrupt. Is that the one with Matthew Broderick?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I never saw it.
And Godzilla, who looked like a giant CGI lizard. That whole thing. It was set in New York, and it was just bad. It was just a rough time for everyone involved. Tom, what was your lovely memories of that film?
I don't hate it as much as a lot of people. I actually was pretty jazzed up by it, but I'm like a rubber monster movie fan to begin with, so like,
Hmm.
yeah, was it a Godzilla movie? No. But was it a fun monster gone crazy in New York movie? Yes. Uh that being said, like, I mean, I don't hate it like most people do. I don't like love it either. So like
Yeah.
it was just one of those times where you kind of remember, yeah, we kind of got duped into going to see a movie in the theaters. It wasn't quite what it was being sold.
Yeah. Now I will go on the flip side of this because a lot of people hated that movie for sure. And I'm kind of surprised at how many people didn't like the 2014 Godzilla movie because I actually really did like that film, and I felt like the majority of the backlash comes to the fact that this is around the time of like Breaking Bad as well. Everyone went to go see that film because Bryan Cranston was really big at the time and he was supposedly the star of the movie. And then of course his character gets killed about halfway in, and a lot of people didn't like the fact that his character was removed so early in the film, so they had a negative reaction of the movie overall. But visually, I think Godzilla looked pretty impressive in that film. When you look back at the actors that held that one down, Aaron Taylor Johnson and what's her name, Elizabeth Olsen, I thought that they were great in the film. I thought it was a pretty solid movie for what it was going for. It introduced kind of the idea of the Titans and whatnot. So I like that movie a lot. Some people are kind of mixed on it. What do you think about that one, Rick?
I don't remember it. I know I saw it. Wait a minute. No, there was one movie that I saw that was a Godzilla movie, and I think the audience was pretty bored with it. And there was one point where they launch a rocket somewhere, and out of nowhere, a child in the theater says, "Fireworks!" The whole theater just burst out laughing. So it might have been that one. I know I saw it, but I don't remember it at all.
Well, keep in mind you live in El Paso, so we'll have to grade you on a curve when it comes to theater experience. But Tom, what's your take on the 2014 one?
I didn't hate it overall. I was like a lot of people though disappointed that Cranston got killed off right away. Um the other thing that bothered me was the cutting away all the time from Godzilla. That was really kind of
Yeah, I
dicky.
think I heard that a lot
Other than
too.
that, I didn't hate it.
I heard that a lot with people too. It's like they didn't really like the human element of the story, which we'll obviously get
Yeah,
into here.
that's been kind of the weakness of all the Warner. Well, that's kind of a weakness of all the Godzilla films since the beginning.
Yeah,
Is the human characters, where this one is. This is where the human characters really shine. I mean, not to
yeah.
get ahead of it, but yeah.
Like I said,
Well, to be
we're
fair,
building up to a point here. But
yeah,
go
to
on,
be
go
fair, I
ahead.
never saw the very first Godzilla movie, like from the 50s.
The original version, I've only seen the Japanese version a couple times. I'm very familiar with the Americanized version though, and the difference there is they brought it over here, they cut it down, they shot some scenes with Raymond Burr and some stand-ins to cut in with the other footage. So you have an American counterpart to kind of follow along through the movie. And all Raymond Burr does is play like this journalist. So he's kind of just reacting to things. So he can't be proactive in the story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So he's kind of just kind of like a side character as it is. And this movie is a really good remake of the original film. I mean, granted, that movie takes place probably 20 years, I think, after World War II, because it came out in 54 or 56, somewhere in there, depending, I think, on in
I
the
think it
US or
was
Japan.
54.
Yeah, as I say, Japan, it came out in 54, I think 56 here in the stateside, but maybe 55. But yeah, I think then this is a little bit different in a sense that it takes place right after World War II. But no, as far as like the tone and the seriousness of the movie, this movie and the first movie in Shin Godzilla and maybe some of the 2000 Godzillas probably have the same. 85 Godzilla is probably the next one closest as far as having a serious tone to it, like this, and then maybe the 2014 one. But yeah,
And then we get to the last two, which was Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla versus Kong, where they tried to do like a cinematic universe. I know that word triggers Rick every time I mention this, but they essentially tried to do a
Mhm.
cinematic universe with Godzilla and Kong. So they were building up quite a couple of movies to get to this point. And for me, the reason why those last two movies really don't work is because I think they rely so much on just heavily CGI that there's really no emotional connection with like anything. Like it's kind of hard to feel what they wanted you to feel for those characters. And then, like I said, I think the human characters were even worse in those two movies than they were in the 2014 Godzilla film. So we've kind of been like limping to the finish line here for this next Godzilla movie, which they're just trying to set up next year. But you guys, what's your take on that, Tom?
I actually like that. I think they get better as they go outside of,
Really?
like, I really liked Kong Skull Island. King of the Monsters, I hate the people in it, but I like the monster parts. Godzilla versus Kong, I really like, and the character I attach most to is you got that little deaf girl for Kong to, because that's the thing is Kong is king in America. He kind of, people can attach themselves to Kong a little bit more. He's a little bit more humanized, if that makes sense, especially when it comes to having, like whether it's Fay Ray or a character like the little girl in Godzilla versus Kong, that kind of makes him a little bit more relatable, to where Godzilla is still a little kind of detached. He doesn't quite have a quote unquote personality like Kong does. So I mean, in that respect, I've always been a Kong fan first, then Godzilla. But as a Godzilla fan, I think King of the Monsters gives the hardcore Godzilla fans what they were wanting for a long time. Godzilla versus Kong, similar. But the thing is with those movies was Warner and Legendary realized they weren't, because after King of the Monsters didn't perform as well at the box office, but the thing they noticed was the toys were selling like hotcakes, right? And they kept selling. And so they realized, okay, we got to shift gears a little bit here. And that's why Godzilla versus Kong, I know a lot of people noticed it took like a bit more of a family friendly tone. That's why. Because those toys sold all the way up until Godzilla versus Kong came out in theaters, and Godzilla versus Kong toys are still on the shelf, because kids love monsters and dinosaurs, and this is the perfect combination of both, right? Like, so in that respect, I don't mind the Legendary series so much because I know that's kind of made for the kids and families, to where this movie, what Japan put together here, is a lot more in line with Shin Godzilla, to where this is for the grown-ups. Right. I mean, you could take some kids to this movie. I just don't know if they'd enjoy it like they would the Legendary Warner Brothers series.
Yeah, this one might be a tough sell for the kids, especially with like the content, because I mean a lot of people get killed in this movie, so it may not be as
well. It's not just that, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll touch up on that just real quick. But Rick, let me get your thoughts on the last two Godzilla movies. Then we could talk about Minus One.
Well, from my memory, I actually enjoyed the last two. I think, if memory serves correct, the King of the Monsters actually featured more Godzilla than the previous Godzilla movie, where he was like basically a cameo. It was a Godzilla movie without Godzilla, or where he barely popped up. In that one, I think they course corrected. And Godzilla versus Kong, yeah, from what I remember, I just remember the big actual fight between them. I enjoyed it, but again, I really would have to look up my reviews. That's how long ago it's been for me.
I mean, look, man, when you get up there in age, I mean, it's kind of harder to remember all the movies that you watched throughout the course of the year. So
I have a hard time remembering what I watched this year.
Well,
I just remember with King of the Monsters, if they had just simplified the human story, it would have been so much better. Right? Like having the mother be part of the bad guy's plan was so stupid. Like all they had to do was be like, we got your kid. We want you to turn on the machine so we can call all the monsters out, because you already have the reason that these guys want these monsters, because they're poaching them on the black market, right? All their parts and pieces. That's all you needed to do. You did not have to have her be part of the movie. Her being part of the movie because she has this grand idea of, like the environmental message, was so dumb and felt so ESG. Like if there's anything that was shoved into these movies that felt remotely woke, it was that. It's like when you have this environmental, but it's like, look, Godzilla already has an environmental message in it. You don't need to overload it with more shit. right? Like, it's got plenty already.
Like it's already about a giant nuclear disaster in 1945. I mean, how much more in the nose do you need to be when you're talking about Godzilla in the first place, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So with
Sorry, I didn't mean,
Godzilla,
and I didn't know if Rick had any more to say about the other films.
No, no, I
no,
don't.
no, that's fine.
You did a good job there.
Yeah, so with these Godzilla films, there's definitely been kind of I say a mixed reaction about each one, but I don't think that anyone outside of that one from the '90s has gotten like such a visual reaction, like, oh, this one sucks. It's like one of the worst ones ever. Just kind of like, it's a film. It's one of those popcorn flicks that you go and see. But with this one, it has a completely different feel to it because it is a Japanese Godzilla movie. So this one's a completely outside of the realm of the Hollywood mega budget movies that we've been getting over the last few years, which is why if you're going into this thinking that you're going to get, the hero Godzilla, the one that's going to come to be the protector of the world, you're not going to get that Godzilla at all in this movie. You're getting
And I'm
we're going to
glad.
destroy literally everything Godzilla. A quick little note here before we get started about the story. I noticed that the budget here for this movie was almost minuscule compared to the American films. This was made on a $15 million budget. $15 million American versus the Godzilla films we just talked about, where each one can go upwards of like $200 million. So I guess I should kind of start off with this one because this is obviously what's going to draw a lot of people to the movie. The actual design of Godzilla in this film. What did you think of it? And for me, considering the fact it's only a $15 million film, I think they did a pretty damn good job. I don't know what it is with kind of the Asian countries there, but I made this point with a film that came out last year that was made with like $20 million, and it's kind of like this the sea epic. It has like a lot of like old style ships and the really great use of CGI. I'm thinking to myself, how come they can do really solid looking CGI over there in these countries where they're only like $20 million that they have in their budget, yet ours has $250 million and they look like crap. It's like, is the money laundering not nearly as bad in Korea and Japan as it is here in the United States? What's going on here? Start with Rick.
I think it's because American filmmakers really want to drown people in visual effects, and they think that that's what we want to see. We want to see big spectacle, and we want to see all this uh, grandiose world. Don't really concentrate on anything else. That's where the money really goes. Although it's kind of strange because we've seen in the past few years a lot of the Marvel movies, their effects are just absolutely lousy for all the money they spent. No one can tell me that the was it Love and Thunder had great visual effects. Those were downright ghastly. And
For
that go ahead.
for a quick comparison here, this film cost $15 million, and the Marvels, the one we just watched a few weeks ago, cost nearly $300 million.
Because I think they just really want to drown people in effects, and they want the effects to carry the movie. Here, they did something that a lot of films now have forgotten to do. The effects serve the story. They don't become the story. You don't focus on the effects. Yes, you need a gigantic lizard to come and destroy Tokyo, but you don't need to drown it in massive spectacle where it looks so fake. You look at something like Quantum Mania. That one, the effects there were so well, you could almost literally see the green screen right there. You could almost
Mhm.
literally see it. With this one, they work because again, with a smaller budget, you're kind of forced to be a little more creative. You see some of the kind of to go off a little bit tangent. You see noir films that have a tiny budget, but they're forcing the people to work with what they have. So here they had to do that. They had to work with what they had. With when you spend $300 million, you have all this money. You can just throw it around all over the place. Whether it works or not is irrelevant to you. You just expect it to make money. So that's my theory, that they actually use the money to serve the story. They use the special effects to serve the story and not just to show off basically how great your effects can be.
I think Rob had even pitched a few weeks ago that we should have a salary cap for studios. Like, no, everyone should be capped at like $30 million and see who actually has talent and who doesn't. I think that'd be a good way to start there. Tom, what's your
Mhm.
thinks on the visuals of the film for its budget?
Like, I was stunned by the visuals because I'm not a big fan of CGI, and I was pretty stunned. Now, I'm not 100% what all was practical and what was CGI in some shots here because I haven't seen like a making of, and some people have given me conflicting reports. I've also heard some conflicting reports on the actual budget between 15 and 30, but it's still peanuts compared to what we spend here. And I did a comparison, like CGI animators make kind of, I guess I would say, I don't know how the exchange works, but I would say they look like similar in salaries between here and there. So in that respect, I'm sure they paid the animators or whatever about the same they would here. I think the problem lies in the US. There's 2,000 many executive producers and shit getting way too much money, right? Like, you look at a movie nowadays compared to what they used to be, and there's 20 executive producers listed for every single fucking movie now. And I'm just sitting here going, where's the money going? And I remember when Deadpool came out, they managed to make that for $70 million. Well, then they had to add a little bit more to that because they got sued later because we found out they weren't paying their animators, right? So where did the money go? Because you see a movie like this, you see a movie like the Creator or whatever that came out earlier this year from Gareth Edwards. Speaking of Godzilla,
Yep.
I didn't get to see it yet, but just from the trailer, I saw the CGI, and I'm just like, God, that looks amazing, and they did that for 80 million, right? So like, you look at this shit and you're going, what is the problem? I think that's the biggest issue, is just too many executives pocketing too much of the money. The U.S. spending way too much on ancillary BS. You can tell all the money is on the screen in this film. It looks amazing between the sets, the costumes, the effects. It's all there right for you to see. Maybe the story helped lend itself to, I mean, I don't see how it could necessarily, but maybe it did lend itself to being a little cheaper. But I got to imagine to build some of those sets was not cheap. Unless I doubt they still have wreckage left around since World War, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And so, yeah, it's amazing what they were able to pull off.
Yeah, I don't think the
There
Chinese would
was
waste 80 years.
I will say this though, there was a very good use. You might have caught this on some of the scenes. It's like, this is a trick that Hollywood rarely does anymore, surprisingly enough. But there was a good use of miniatures in this film too, making things look like they were bigger than they actually were. I think Oppenheimer was also another film that applied that as well. But then you're talking about Christopher Nolan, so you got a completely different brand of filmmaker than the general public that we're used to now. But quick little note here. I guess we can jump in our good buddy Culture Casino here to this discussion here. So how's it going on, Chris?
Look, Tom's 100% right. This is the best Godzilla movie since the original. This is the best movie of the year as far as pure enjoyment and entertainment. Yes, you are right. There are tons of miniatures, and yes, practical effects were extensively used. This is the way you make a movie not spend a bunch of money. But do you know why it worked out so well? And I think we hit on this morning. I think Tom will agree. This movie worked so well because they understood every single shot that they were going to utilize before they shot it. This was extensive.
Yeah, that's the other part I was going to get to. Thank you, Culture. Yeah.
I mean, Tom, I think, I talked about this morning along with a couple other people who know what they're talking about. And Takashi Yamazaki, the filmmaker here, is not only the director and the writer, but he specializes in practical effects and CG SFX, special effects. So he knew every shot he was going to make before he made it. So he made it in the best possible way. And I keep doing more research on this film and this guy, and I'm sticking with that $15 million budget. And as Tom said, even if it is 30 million, that's nothing compared to what we're spending on a $270 million Miss Marvel bullshit film, which looks like,
or even if you compare it to Legendary's Godzilla films, right?
Oh, dude, Tom, you just hit the nail on the head, right? And not only that, this is so authentic. This felt so real. And in my completely full IMAX showing on the special, the special screening that I went to, and I know Tom went to one of these, on that, it was full. And during the moments that of the most intense, the most impactful moments, not only was the sound the most important thing, and we talked about this also, the absence of sound was equally important. It was just amazing.
Yeah, because I was not sure if this was shot for IMAX, if they cropped it off, or if they're showing it in 235 in IMAX. I don't know what the deal is, but like I said, my understanding is most IMAXs don't have Dolby Atmos. So if you have a chance to see this in Dolby Atmos, it was one of the best Dolby Atmos
Well, and
experiences I've ever had.
that's what Yellow Flash said. I can't wait to hear him talk about it on Flashcast tomorrow.
Because, like, I mean, they had, and for those who don't know what Dolby Atmos is in comparison to different, like, normally original surround sound is you have one in the center, you have the left and the right, and then you have the various ones throughout the rest of the theater playing the surround,
yeah,
which is generally just one channel spread throughout.
yeah. Well,
Dolby Atmos is multiple channels.
Yeah.
And then you also have above you, because it's all object based. So like as planes are coming by, they're going like this onto the screen, and Godzilla is walking over you. You feel it and hear it walking over you. Like it's amazing how it actually works out in the sound department. I can't imagine the 4DX showing of this would be pretty bitchin'.
Well, yeah, because I hear you bounce. I hear you bounce in that theater like they move. It's like crazy.
Yeah, 4DX is like the full like it's basically like literally like being in a theme park ride while you're watching the movie. But I actually saw this one in the RPX, which is on the enhanced sound, and yeah, you can basically hear like every single detail of the sound in that theater is great too. And if you have this in your area, I'm not sure how many people do, but it's called Screen X, where it's basically like a complete like 180 visual screen like all around you, like you can see the screen. I'm thinking about doing that on Sunday to go watch this movie again in the Screen X, because I mean, you put that visual together with the sound, and yeah, you're talking about a crazy experience.
I'm going to see this movie again this weekend. Mm-hmm. I have not seen a movie twice in a weekend since Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, and we were just saying that like it's one of those films like. I think because this one might fly under the radar, but then again, if it gets good word of mouth, it might pick up, especially over these next few weeks. So let's be honest, there's really no competition throughout the rest of the year for this film. I mean, I don't know how many people are really going to watch Wonka in a couple of weeks, and then we all pretty much assume that Aquaman 2 is going to bomb pretty hard. So this might end up
Aqua Dude, bro, come on! Everybody wants to see Aqua Dude, bro.
Yeah, right. But though this film could actually gain some legs here in a couple of weeks if the word of mouth is actually good enough for it. It has an opportunity to do that. And our good buddy Neil Zoic is here with us too. And I guess you could shoot this over to culture, since we kind of talked about this a little bit here. But how would you compare this film to the first film, the 1954 Godzilla movie?
I think it's a proper honorarium. I think this film is a proper return to that kind of authenticity. And then Shin Godzilla, this is just one step above it. This I think Tom will agree might be the definitive Godzilla film.
I think so. Like, see, the thing with Shin is it's a bit of a different animal, right? Godzilla's kind of it's not really a Godzilla movie, if that makes sense. I mean, if you guys have seen it, you know what I'm saying. It's more about the politics, and it's kind of a satire in a sense of making fun of how they dealt with that one meltdown in I can't remember the name of it, but basically like they're making meetings to have meetings and crap instead of actually dealing with Godzilla while he's destroying the entire country, while they're just having meetings and trying to figure out what to do. And it's just like you're getting to a point where it's going to be too late to do anything if you keep mucking around. And that was that movie. That was all about the bureaucratic politics of it all and how the government deals with things. This is almost like the opposite of that in a lot of ways, but it also is so much more.
So I'll say this about this film. Somebody had mentioned earlier, if you treat this film as like a prequel to Oppenheimer, it gets even better in comparison.
A sequel, you mean? Yes, wow. A sequel. That's been the joke going around, is that this is a sequel to Oppenheimer. Yeah.
I saw it as a companion piece.
No, it is. I think that truly, because I mean, it actually kind of is the genesis of this monster, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's amazing. And like they brought up things from the first film with the fish and all that. And there were moments, and again, and this is the thing that I think is the best.
I don't know how deep you want to get into spoilers here, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. The best of this film is the fact that they use Godzilla judiciously, right? Very selective moments in this film. So yeah. Oh yeah. Are we
but
not
very liberally at the same time? Like he's not spared.
We can get the spoilers towards the end, but
okay. All right. So no. There are moments. By the way, when Godzilla's there, it is a complete disaster movie. It is thorough destruction. It is hopeless chaos and doom. I mean,
there were some great moments when the audience reacted too.
Oh man, the audience lived this movie. I'm
curious how your guys is acting, because like the one specifically, I remember the audience really got into and laughed about.
Oh yeah, You got laughter
when you had that Navy ship and they think they got him or whatever, and then all of a sudden you see the freaking Navy ship just come tumbling through.
Oh yeah.
Like, or the scene, or like I said, a little bit of a spoiler here. They're getting ready to like do their big plan, right? So it's like they're getting up early in the morning. It's like, we're gonna get the jump on Godzilla. Before they even leave the dock, all of a sudden this giant ship just flies into the air. It's like, oh, Godzilla's
that's what I was talking
here.
about.
Like,
that's the scene I was talking about. That's where, not that they got, that's the one I was thinking of. Yep. Sorry.
I don't know if this counts as a spoiler, but and not having seen the original 54 version, but when those reporters are covering the destruction of the theater, I'm thinking, is that kind of an homage to the Rip Burr section where they're also a reporter, but they're actually there and you get to see, and they're kind of hysterical. Oh, this theater survived the war, but hey, you can't survive Godzilla because of this monster.
Oh man, okay. So one of the things you see so this isn't really a spoiler because it's in the trailers. The Ginza attack, right? That you're talking about something that's not quite in the trailer, but it's just adjacent to it. But those moments, those are definitely an homage.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, story-wise, this movie very little follows the original film.
Wait, that was Spencer. Hi, Spencer.
Hey, Spencer. So like because like I said,
the new acting editor-in-chief of Bounding in the Comics too.
Because the original film it does take place in the 50s. So like I said, Japan is already that's kind of the whole point, is they just got themselves back to semi-normal, and this fucking monster shows up. And it really is just basically this monster rampaging through Tokyo and stuff. And you get to see the aftermath, and it's kind of just, it's not really, like I said, like none of the main characters are so proactive other than certain characters, and it's like they get involved with the government and then they just take Godzilla down. There's little moments that are kind of homages to the original Godzilla, but this guy makes it so much of his own that it's great, but it still feels like it's in a Godzilla movie.
Well, I look, if this would have been a successor to the film back in the 50s, let's say this was like produced in like 59, you would be like, oh yeah, this feels like it belongs here. It was so good. Oh man, I don't know. I don't want to spoil it for people because I said this today when I was talking to Force of Light, because Michelle was on the channel today during the interview show, and I was talking to her about it, and I said, I don't know if I want you girls to wait and do a reaction video to this in real time, or if I want you girls to go and see it now, because I think it would impact you more because of you see it on the biggest screen with the best sound, and I think that has to be I think that has to be the default position, right? You have to say, go see this now, because you won't see it like this ever again, right?
I mean, if you're trying to get in touch with the crowd reaction, like I said, if the crowd that you're going with is kind of a big reaction to it, I probably want to go see it now. But like I said, I think this one will have an opportunity to get a good word of mouth and actually build over the course of the next few weeks. Because I think they were only expecting it to make a certain amount of money like this weekend. It's already blown past that.
8.1 million is what was their projection for this film.
Yeah, I think they did like 2 on Thursday alone.
2.1 million on the first batch of through the preview screening. Yeah, and again, it's not in many theaters. It's in 1,900 theaters. I mean, fuck you.
And that's the other thing is I don't even know if they can even show it past the end of December. See, because the way this is how this works. So when they made the 98 Godzilla, Toho had to hold off for a few years before they could make another one. That's the way that deal worked. They were not going to have that happen again. So when they signed the deal with Legendary and Warner Brothers to do the new Godzilla Monsterverse thing, the deal was any year that they were not releasing one of the Monsterverse films, Toho could release one of theirs. So that's how this works out. So I don't know if past December they can actually have it in theaters anymore.
But is it a calendar year or is it a secular
That's year? The question. I don't know. That's
because Monarch is on question. Apple Plus right fucking now.
That's television though. See, that's an exception culture. See, there's the kicker. But that's the thing is, I don't know. I could be wrong. You might be right. It might be a calendar year to where they don't matter as long as because it couldn't be a calendar year. I don't think otherwise they couldn't release it now because Godzilla X Kong comes out March or May?
Yeah.
Can't remember which.
I think
it comes out in April at the moment.
Yeah.
Unless they moved it. So
I'm slightly puzzled. I'm slightly puzzled that they wouldn't release it in more theaters. I know that was one of Orange Hat's complaints, that it wasn't anywhere near him. I'm surprised because the name, I mean, it's a big name.
I think
People know who Godzilla is or what Godzilla is. So I'm surprised that it didn't have a wider release.
It feels like they lowballed their expectations for
partially. I think another
already
thing is they don't think that people are going to go see a non-dubbed film.
Yeah,
That's
yes,
bullshit.
That's
But
an issue.
before
And
we
not
get
an
too
issue,
deep
but-
into this, I noticed that it just a bunch of theaters near me that normally wouldn't have a movie like this just took this movie
They
on.
grabbed it. Yeah.
So
They need the money. This thing's got.
I think it's doing better now that like it'll pick up more theaters over the next few days.
And
I
you
think.
have and think about this. It already made its money back.
Yeah.
It made 30 million in Japan alone already.
Well, when you only make a movie on a $15 million budget, you can make your money back just like that. You know, like said, all these other studios, they put 200 into it, so it's like they got to make 750 before they even see a profit.
I'm curious what it does today because I think it opened in like a bunch more theaters.
It did.
Today,
It opened broader, but Tom, where are you going to put this? Do you think it barely performs 8.1 like they predict, or do you think it's like more like 18?
I mean, that's going to be a tall order.
You think so?
Just because it doesn't have the theaters, but it is gaining some theaters, so I can see it falling somewhere in the 10 to 15 million range.
Because the per screen average is ridiculously high for a film when nobody.
I hope it does better, but I'm just trying to be modest or conservative or whatever you call it.
My IMAX showing was packed. It's like, good Lord.
Sadly, mine was not. It was well filled, but not packed.
Dude, they were thunderous applause. So when we got to the end of the film, cheering. I haven't heard cheering in a theater for a fucking long time.
See, I wanted to, but nobody else clapped. That was the thing I was kind of bummed about.
Yeah, I had to see the earliest screening possible today, and so it wasn't. It didn't have
full?
A lot of. It doesn't. Yeah, it wasn't full by any stretch, but I think the audience reception was very positive, and yes, it was dubbed. It's interesting that I mean, not dubbed. I'm sorry, subtitled.
Yeah.
It's curious that they had a trailer for what is that, the Boy and the Heron, and that one animated film has to be dubbed, but this one I don't know why they accept a dubbed animated movie, but seem to think that no one will watch a subtitled movie when it's the same language, and it works so well. The subtitles were never an issue. I don't know why people are resistant.
Well, okay, so not only that, that's Studio Ghibli, right?
Yes.
And I have to say, when that played in the theater, it was the only that was the last thing before they started the Godzilla film. People went bananas for that too.
I think the last movie though that really made any money that had subtitles would probably have to be the last the one of the which one did ever Mel Gibson did second, either the Passion of the Christ or the Apocalypto, one of those two.
Yeah.
I think Christ still made more money though, but
Apocalypto
did okay. Yeah,
didn't do bad.
It didn't do horrible. No, that's the only exceptions I can think of offhand, right?
Recently, I think you're probably right. But see, a lot of people really enjoyed Howl's Moving Castle. I mean, you go to Studio Ghibli. I mean, there's a lot of these things out there. What really frustrates me, and I think Yellow Flash and I would agree, is that you have great stuff that doesn't stay in theaters long, like Dragon Ball Z stuff and things like that. That for whatever reason, the Japanese don't keep their shit in theaters here very long.
Well,
they aren't allowed to have legs.
I'm not going to say that there isn't a audience for the Japanese animation and actual anime and all that kind of stuff, but it's not nearly as big as some of those people like to present it. It's kind of like, yes, I mean, there's an audience here, but not to the point that's going to carry it like it does overseas.
I mean, as someone who watches a lot of South Korean stuff, like I said, those movies are usually only out like maybe 1 week, 2 weeks if it's like a strong enough title. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, I mean, the Indian cinema length in theaters is expanding, and I have a feeling that they're going to have to do that here, bringing in all these other international.
It's still going to be another 5-10 years before that.
So I do wonder.
I was going to say real quick, I think that has more to do with the fact that the Indian population is much bigger and they actually support those films more than the Asian community. Like if you're trying to get like a Korean or a Japanese.
I mean, you get like, the Pokemons or the Studio Ghiblis. Yeah, those stick around a little bit longer, but you're asking a lot of an audience who doesn't know a lot of this stuff to really kind of.
But hang Oh, go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just real quick. I wonder if that was a reason why the the film fewer screens, because it was subtitled, and there's always this perception that
That's what I think is the
Americans in
perception.
particular
Yeah.
are very resistant.
Okay, so I all I want to say is, like, we just saw the results of the anime live action One Piece, right? There's room in a theater for a film based in that, the way that's being done. Maybe Netflix could actually, it's Netflix, right? Netflix could actually take that to the next level and bring that to theaters with like a culmination of like the first
Well,
set.
I mean,
Well,
this is
honestly,
already doing way better than Shin Godzilla did. So just keep that in mind.
And Shin Godzilla was good. I don't want anybody to misperceive what
But
I'm
that had a
saying. It's
very,
just,
very limited run here in the US too.
yeah, but this is, I'm sorry, this might be the definitive Godzilla movie ever. I mean, it really did. It did everything it had to do. It gave you a complete story. Visually, they did everything I wanted it to do. The color grading, the film grain that they added stuff to make this look like a cinematic movie to fit in the timepiece, the time place. It was fantastic. Anyway.
our good buddy Matt, all the way from Australia. I don't even know what time it is over there, but it says anime films don't last long in Australia either. We have a very large Asian population. It's a niche market, at least for there. I agree with that. I think another thing too is you also have to look at just kind of like the bigger studios, because the studios like Disney and Warner, like they'll angle for more time over for their movie releases over like the other ones. So it's kind of harder for like a smaller film like that to compete when you're going up against large studios
Okay.
that require like 3 weeks or more rental for your property.
There are less than 100 major films slated for next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot of room for a lot of stuff that doesn't normally make it to cinema.
They'll definitely get in some movies, but it'll be stuff that is quicker to make. Yeah. That's the thing. Because like they've already just announced oh shit, we were just talking about it earlier, goes before cameras in February. Spinal Tap. That won't take nearly as long to film as like a superhero movie.
Yeah, and
Right.
and yet the director may have driven the entire audience away with his fucking political bullshit.
Well, we actually talked about that the other night. We're like, look, Meathead has always been that fucking political. He's just always managed to keep his politics out of his movies. I hope he continues that. I hope he hasn't gone so deep into TDS that he can't let it go. Because remember, he also had NDS too. Nixon derangement syndrome. Don't forget that. He's had a derangement syndrome for every Republican ever because he's Meathead. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation we had. As far as Godzilla goes, yeah, I don't know how deep you want to get going into it still, but yeah, I'm running low on time.
Let's
here
talk
myself.
about this part so we can actually talk about the movie in depth here. So this is a movie set in 1945, right at the end of World War II. And it's kind of set in with the main character of Koji, if I'm saying that wrong, forgive me. But kind of his whole plot is that he was a kamikaze pilot, and let's be honest, he kind of chickened out, wussed out. He didn't want to actually go through with his mission, so he faked technical issues so he can land on the island and get away from the war. It just so happens he lands on the one island that Godzilla decides to attack, right? So he watches his entire army of soldiers get just absolutely slaughtered by this thing. Keep in mind, a much smaller version of Godzilla that we'll see later on in the film, to the point where the only person that's left is him and his mechanic, and he kind of takes the blame because he's still alive and everyone else on there was dead, and he was supposed to die as a pilot anyway. So he's just like eaten by like survivor guilt. And he thinks that
because he didn't follow orders to shoot at Godzilla with his turret gun. That was the other thing too.
And
so he feels guilty that thinks he could have killed Godzilla, and so does the main mechanic, plane mechanic guy. Yeah.
But as we see throughout the course of the film, that wouldn't have done anything. He just wouldn't have gotten himself killed anyway. But obviously, he doesn't accept that at the time. So he kind of moves on with his life after a little while. He ends up with a girl who has an adopted child. And he kind of tries to move on with his life. The only problem is now Godzilla is back. And there's just so happens that they're doing nuclear testing, that old pesky United States of America. And the nuclear testing makes the Godzilla problem significantly worse. And that's kind of the setup here. Now, this is something that we've talked about with the previous Godzilla films, especially when they try to do human drama. when it comes to the American ones or the Hollywood ones, they always manage to fumble the human element of their story. Like, I think almost on all three cases, you could say if there was at least a solid enough one with the 2014 Godzilla acting, one based on the actors who were in there, but the last two really fumbles with the human element.
Too many
This
too
one,
many actors. Yeah. Too
yeah,
many humans.
yeah, this one I think knocked the human element right out of the park, because even in the scenes where you did not seeing Godzilla just smash everything, you actually do care about the character, because unlike the Hollywood studios, there's a little thing in this movie called a redemption arc that you actually have for this character, where you see him at the lowest of his lows, and yet he has an opportunity to redeem himself as the film goes on. And for whatever reason, this is a concept that modern Hollywood movies just doesn't like anymore, which is why they don't really have any emotional connection to the audience, because you're not giving the audience a reason to care about these characters that you want them to invest in the first place. Am I wrong by saying that, Culture?
No, I think you got it.
Yeah, no, and I said that the beauty of this film is you have like a pro-life message in it. You have a bit of a
it's a
humanitarian kind of message in it. You have you have a man who's trying to figure out what it means to be a man and a father. So that's a very strong message in the film.
It's very celebratory of these values of men who step up and are willing to put
everything.
Yes. I mean, you go kind of jumping ahead, you go to that scene where all of these ex-Navy officers and Navy sailors are asked to participate in this. And they debate, and not all of them agree to it. But the ones who do it because they know they have to protect their wives and children.
But it's funny how quickly life changes in Japan, because when this film starts, the evolution of how the appreciation of life swings, the pendulum swings the other way, and everybody's trying to survive. Kochi's Shikishima, Mr. Shikishima Kochi, his parents before he left told him to live, to survive, come back alive. And the young woman, Nojori, she is in the same position, being told to stay alive. So these are two people that are deeply damaged by the war, because they lost everything. And then along the way, they get the child, as Jacob was describing, and they have this little haphazard family, and all of it's about survival. It's about survival after a terrible war that left, Japan pretty much utterly destroyed. And yet there's this outside entity, this giant lizard thing that shows up and just destroys Japan again. I mean, it's this really amazing struggle that I can't put words on. Tom keeps saying the right things. Like, this is a very pro-live message. So much so that at the very end of the film, and again, I know we're in the spoilers part, so I'm just going to say it.
I was going to say just real quick, it's a very anti-nihilist
film. Yes.
Especially when you're drowning in nihilism in the American market.
Yeah. Really picking up a bit on, I hope I'm picking up a bit on what Culture was saying. The character of Auntie, the woman that he first meets when he gets back to Tokyo, is like, we lost the war because of you. You should have died. At the end, she's almost berating him for wanting to die and do the
because now she's become kind of like a surrogate mother to him and a grandmother to the child and all that kind of stuff. Or an auntie, as they call her, an auntie, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's in that those moments right there where you see the shift in where she was from 45 through 47. She's completely shifted. By the time we get to the end of the film,
the same thing with the mechanic too, and you get that little surprise.
Everything,
moment.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things here, and some of them are a little bit telegraphed, but there's so many things here that make you feel good about what's happening. And then even if you see the end coming, right? Because I think a lot of people may have, or will.
I kind of did, but at the same time, I was pissed for a while. But then I'm it was in the back of my mind, because I was like,
I thought that was a possibility, but I was thinking, I really hope they don't go that way. But I kind of can live with it.
There was no way that you would have had the most satisfying ending ever for a Godzilla movie without all of that.
There's only
Okay.
one reason I didn't like it, but I like the ending, and I'll tell you why. And this gets a little spoilery, so hang in there. If you're not into spoilers, tune out for a minute. But basically, you have her go through all this shit in the name of, what is that town, that second town that Godzilla attacks that you said earlier, Culture?
Ginza.
Yeah.
Ginza
They
was
have
the
her
major
survive her first attack in Ginza through Godzilla. She's on the train, and he goes after the train. She literally survives all that, runs into Kenji or whatever, and all that happens just for her to, as far as we're perceived, die. All right. And to me, I'm like, why did you have that character go through all that shit just to do that? And if it wasn't for the fact of the ending, I finally forgave it. But I also had that in the back of my mind too. I'm like, wait a minute, they're probably going to have her come back possibly.
I kind of could see that would happen. I don't know if it would have made it more impactful if maybe they hadn't, but I can see how. Oh,
I'm with you. I would have been fine if they hadn't, but yeah.
Like, they don't get a happy ending. It's like, I'm not going to say, oh, this was awful.
Yes, but every moment of that was important. It was impactful, and it reinforced the message that we're all touting, we're all appreciating, which we don't get anything of. You know, the positive ending, the positive amount of the finish here, that wouldn't exist without all those things that happened before. But please don't discount that moment in Ginza where the audio goes silent, because I talked about this today, and I know Tom, probably everybody here who's seen the film will understand. There are two moments in this film where there's silence. And I've never seen better use of silence in a film before.
I will say this: my only real thing about the fact that she survived, like towards the end, it's like, if you're gonna do a death tease like that, you have to at least kind of like show a setup of how she could have survived, because the way that it was done, it looked like she was just blown away, like with everyone else. Like, it looked like it was ridiculous enough that he survived, let alone her. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, so during that scene, there's going to be a moment for those of you who don't care about spoilers and want to see something beautiful. In that shot with the two of them together right before the shockwave, and it goes silent. Watch cinematically how a wonderful little accident happens, because it's practical, where a piece of paper blows through the air and lands and hits him in the chest. I was like, you could not possibly have planned that. It was incredible. Oh yeah.
Yes, and the black rain, that made me think that was an echo to the nuclear.
Well, and that's you saw the radiation, toxic striation on her neck. Again,
well, and that's just kind of setting up that we know what's to come for these people, because it took years for the radiation to do its
I can kind of see how that works. There's one part that did get to me. Is when the kid is told, no, you can't, you're joining us, you're going to stay here. And the two guys, the doc and the other man, were like, we leave you the future, and like, yeah, see, these guys are going to go do something that could potentially kill them, because they want something better for the people that were not being in the war, who were actually too young to fight in the war. So
yeah, and that was shown through that one character. I can't remember his name, but he's kind of the
kid. Well, they just call him the kid.
No. The other one, the older one, the one who actually hates war, hates the government, and all that kind of stuff, but is always giving the kids shit in the earlier part. Like, he was really speaking, I think, for the way that a lot of those people probably felt at that period towards their government.
So you guys, there is a famous actor in this film.
A Japanese actor or just an actor?
We're waiting, yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll be right back.
Oh my God, I'm gonna do my best Ted Knight. Well, we're waiting.
That's a tease.
You'll get nothing and you'll be happy.
Wow, it's like, it's so sure.
Yeah. Well, while we're waiting for the answer to that lovely question, so I mean, like the human element of this one in the drama of this film is
it's a
so
trick
good.
question. The answer is Godzilla. Sorry, no, I'm just kidding.
but as that was happening, it's like, this is what so many other Godzilla films is missing, is giving that audience a connection and a reason to care. Because, like I said, you're watching a subtitled movie, but you feel so much for this character that you feel from characters that actually can speak your native language. It's like, and then watching that, then in between that, getting the Godzilla, which I said, great design, especially for they were going for a more of an earlier Godzilla look, so it's not as modern as the current movies that we see here, but it is authentic Godzilla. And for me, the most tense scene like in the film is, like I said, when they're on the boat. This is like, I think, the first encounter that they had with Godzilla, and they're just on this little rickety little, like, 1940 style boat, and they're trying to
Yes.
shoot at it, and they realize that none
I
of
gotta
their
ask you
shots are
guys.
working. Go ahead.
Did you guys get a total Jaws vibe from this guy?
Yes.
Like, oh my
Yes.
god, I'm like,
Yeah.
this guy is not just a Godzilla fan. This
Yes,
guy's a Jaws
I
fan.
was thinking
Yeah.
the exact
Oh, yeah.
thing, because you've got this group and they have to join together, and then they're trying to launch the mines, but it's almost like what they were launching with, to try to
Well,
capture
just the way
Jaws.
that he's chasing them, and the mines are kind of like the barrels, and then he bites down on the bomb. It's just the whole thing, and then even the end, they was a little even more of a callback. Like you said, it's on a grander scale.
He
but
could
just
have
the way
quite
that-
literally
yeah.
at one point just said we needed a bigger boat, and I think that was at the point where they were shooting.
There
at
is
the
a boat joke though. That's the other time the theater laughed, is when he comes up to the boats, because he's like, "This is state of the art."
Yeah. And that
it's a scene where it's like they go in, they have like this giant mine, and like the first one like misses, but then they shoot it like inside of Godzilla's mouth and think, yeah, we got it, and all of a sudden his face just starts to regenerate, and it's like, oh, we're screwed.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that works well here, and they do it at least twice, where there's genuine tension, because you are waiting for whether or not, that's a question they keep repeating. Did we get it? Did it succeed? Did it work? Because they're waiting, and they're there, like at the climactic, when they sink Godzilla, they're like, did it work? We're waiting. They're waiting.
That was the other one I was thinking of, is right after that scene where they think they got him in that one part, and then that other boat starts coming up, and they get the other boat, and they're all just standing there watching them, and then there's nothing they can do,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Neozoic here has a question. Do you think this counts as a horror film? I wouldn't call this a horror film. I think culture called it perfectly exactly just a disaster film.
It is a disaster.
No, I think the kids could even enjoy it, but again, I don't think the younger kids are going to like it simply because
Yeah.
it's a foreign film.
It's
I
too
think
much
that you
reading.
get 10, 11, 12-year-old is probably, especially if they're
There's a lot of
Godzilla
people
fan,
dying.
will love it.
Yeah, I think 12 and up's probably appropriate, but one of the very famous Japanese actors that's in this movie, a long storied career, somebody who was born in the same year I was, is the guy that plays the doctor, Nora. And his name is Hidetaka Yoshioka. And he is he's famous. You've seen him in some stuff you've probably seen. He's brilliant in this film, and very enjoyable.
Which character did he play?
Doc.
The doctor.
The doctor. Okay, yeah, he looks
Doc.
familiar. Yeah.
And I like I said, otherwise everybody that's in this film you probably have never seen unless you are into Japanese cinema, because they are, in Japan they're big deals. Here in the States they're going to be big deals because this film was crazy good. So anyway, sorry.
No, what I liked, and you've got a group of disparate men, and you give them moments where they're not all like very serious, and they can play around with each other, and can tease the kid. They're all kind of shocked when she tells them, "Oh, I'm not the wife," and yeah, no, this is not my daughter. And so you give them these moments, and I love that where the two other guys and the doctor's explaining everything, and he's like, we didn't realize that you were that big in the government, because he seems to play just a regular person who's just who has a lot of knowledge. I like those characters. I like the fact that they all have these little these great interactions with each other, and you can see them kind of have some conflict, but also have some nice moments where they behave like actual people.
And
I
for me,
like that.
it's such a night and day contrast about how humans are portrayed here in the West versus what you see like kind of like in the Eastern, whether it's Japan, Korea. You see this a lot here, and it's the scene where after they tried to beat Godzilla the first time and failed, and they're like, "Look, Godzilla's pretty much like destroyed everything. Like we need to get rid of this guy, or we're all gonna die." And it's like, well, the government's not gonna be here to save us. The military's not gonna save us. So if we're gonna beat Godzilla, it has to be like us. Like it has to be like the private
Oh,
citizens, right? And so many of them are like sitting here. It's like, and there's a few guys like you see in the scene. It's like, hey, look, I got a wife and kids. Like I can't like do this. Like I'm not man enough for it. But it's like these guys are like, hey, look, we're the only ones that can possibly stop him. And if we don't do it, then we're all dead. So we have to try something. We can't just sit here and just like hope that he doesn't come back, because he's gonna come back and probably destroy more. So you have just a group of just regular everyday citizens that are like, yeah, let's build up a plan together and beat this thing, because I mean there's nothing else for us to do. It's like our community is on our hands, and it's such a straight contrast of heroism, and like I said, a redemption story all around, especially considering where our character started versus where he was in the middle of the film versus him finally being able to redeem himself towards the end. It's a full story arc here that I really really love and appreciate
it,
towards the end of the film.
yeah, I mean, the hero's journey is complete for a lot of characters in this movie. I mean, the pilot, the not the pilot, the engineer, the engineer that works on the
Oh, the
plane,
mechanic. Yeah.
Chachabana, right? I mean, that's a complete arc. I mean, the mother, the godmother, whatever you want to call her, she gets a complete arc. The woman that is the girlfriend of Mr.
Pretty much almost every main character in the movie gets an arc.
Yeah, and it's like everybody is dealing with
But-
something. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the thing that struck me that was different about this movie compared to other Godzilla movies. First of all, we shouldn't probably even compare it
No.
to the American films, because this is more comparable to the Japanese films, and even there's most of the time the characters are fairly spread out outside of a few minor exceptions I can think of. So this is one of the few times you have where they're concentrated on one main character and all the characters that are affected with him, and not like what the government's doing and all these other ancillary characters are doing. So that really helped, concentrate the story better. And the other thing that was funny is when I was talking about this the other day with Price of Reason on my channel, we both agreed like this is the kind of movie that normally the Oscars would give Best Picture if you took out the Godzilla stuff. It would just be about like this Japanese community trying to rebuild itself after World War II and finding, the meaning of life and through all this death and dourness, but like at the end of the day, that's what makes it great is you have this great movie underneath this Godzilla movie at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I say, I really really enjoyed this. I think as the more I really thought about like the story element and all the, like I said, not to really compare it to the American movies, but you just think of like all the typical complaints that we have about those movies. Like this movie really does solves all those problems and makes it kind of the best of both worlds when you look at, like I said, the human element and the Godzilla element of the stories too. And like I said, I think Godzilla in this film was great. Like I said, this is definitely not hero Godzilla by any stretch of the imagination. This is straight up menace Godzilla. And like I said, hopefully they can I don't know, I didn't see the couple ones like before this one, but hopefully this could be a start of something that can really catch on here.
This is a brand new beginning. This is a brand new beginning. This gives you a new monster, a new circumstance, a new and a situation that can only get more fucked up.
Yep. It can only get worse from here. I could say that much. And yeah, I mean, the more I thought about this film, I guess we can shift over to final thoughts here. Yeah, the more I thought about this film, the more I really, really enjoyed it. There's so many elements to the story that I do like. And like I said, this is definitely one of the films where you talk about a popcorn film for you can enjoy. If you have a gimmick in your neighborhood, whether it's 4DX or X Screen X or any kind of like IMAX or like, this is definitely the film to go utilize that, especially this weekend while the theaters are still relatively full. So if I'm giving this one a good rating, I'm gonna give this one a strong 4 out of 5 for me. This would probably be one of my top 10 best movies of the year by the time we get to the end of this month here. So yeah, that's what I grade this one out there. Definitely the best Godzilla film that I've seen in years, probably if not ever. So how about that? So Rick, I'll go ahead and go over you so you can give your final thoughts and ratings on this film.
All right. Well, I was not. This maybe sound like a curious comment, but maybe you guys will agree. I did not expect to feel actual emotional moments here, like when they're gathering together, and when they focus on his guilt, on the survivor's guilt, and how much it's hurting him, and when she comforts him, it's like, yeah, that got to me. There were moments that got to me emotionally, and I still got to see chaos and destruction, and actually felt that I cared whether the characters lived or died. So for me, I'm giving this a 4 out of 5 as well. And yeah, I think this is going to be in my top 10 as well. I wasn't quite sold on the ending because I kind of saw it like, I don't know if they really want to see the ending, that she actually survived at the end. But I kind of felt, oh well, we're getting a happy ending, and I like that we're getting a happy ending. And he everyone survives, because I think when he crashes into Godzilla, if he had lived, if he had died, I would have felt sad, but I would have felt that he had found peace. That he lived, I thought that was great. So yeah, so 4 out of 5. This is probably going to be this will be in my top 10. So I really love this film, and yeah, if you can find it on the biggest, I don't want to say loudest screen, but if you can find it in the best screen possible, go ahead and see it. I did not, but that was due to time. So those are my thoughts.
All right, I guess for our guest reviewers here, I can go ahead and give your final thoughts and ratings for this film too. I'll start with you, Culture.
As always, I'm going to say that I rarely give reviews over an 8. This is an 8.5. It's very difficult to get a 9. It's almost impossible to get a 10. And I might push this to a 9 after I watch it a second time this weekend, because I'm watching it a second time this weekend, which is something substantial, because the last film that I saw twice in the same weekend was Top Gun Maverick.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be of substantive quality. And I'm going back for the pure enjoyment of the moments that I had at every stage when the audience was cheering. So an 8.5, high number. And I'm with you, Rick. I felt so many emotional moments in this film. Either way, whether he survived or not at the very end of the film, I think it would still have arrived at the same rating for me. But as far as my humanity and my appreciation for the message of this film, I'm glad they let him survive. And I think it foretells what we have in the future when it comes to Toho Godzilla, because I think if they leave it in this man's more than capable hands, we'll have greatness for a decade to come.
Yep. And then Tom.
Yeah, I mean, this has worked its way up into the top 5 of my favorite of the year so far. As I said earlier in the film, earlier in the show, as we were talking about the movie. God, I think I'd have to put it in that 9 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 range, somewhere in there, man.
Ooh.
It's high up there, man. Well, I give Tetris I give 10 out of 10s a little bit more liberally than you do, Culture. But to me, I love it when a movie really gets me on all these levels and all these places, and this movie did that. And again, it almost rivals the first Godzilla film to be the best of the
really
Godzilla films.
I still think it's the best movie. Of the Godzilla movies, it's the best one. And that's saying something, since 54.
I mean, the only reason I have hesitant to say that is, because the original is the original, right? Like, you can't do this without the original. So on that, with that being said, like, this is the best of any of the Godzilla films besides that. So yeah.
I mean, consider it. I don't know if you guys talked about, but this is the 37th Godzilla movie.
Yeah, I've said that. There were like 30 some deep, right?
Yeah. 37. This is number 37. It's amazing.
Yeah, this one's definitely reinvigorated my interest in Godzilla. And I guess real quick before we sign off here, so as we know, like we mentioned earlier, there is another American Godzilla movie coming out here. in about a couple of months. It comes out either March or April, but it's the one they're doing Godzilla and Kong again. Now I'll say this: the villain of this film does seem pretty interesting to me. I don't know how like, you guys feel about this one, but I feel a little bit more hype for this one than I felt for the previous Kong versus Godzilla one. Because the previous one, I'm just kind of like, I didn't really get it too much. But if they can do a pretty solid villain with this one, I think I might be intrigued to see that one as well. Does this movie do anything to spike your interest for the next Godzilla movie that we're going to get? That's our review culture.
As I say that last part again. What?
No. But, so, do you think that this film is going to end up striking your interest for the upcoming Godzilla versus Kong movie that we got coming?
I'm still. I look. I'm going to go see that film anyway because it's a Godzilla movie. So, but it's a completely
and a Kong
different
movie.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a completely different expectation for me. I kind of already know what I'm going to get, and I still don't think it'll be of the same quality. My expectation for anything coming out of Legendary / Universal or whoever's handling it now, it's been now far diminished over what we got out of this film. But I'll still go see it because you know what, I get Godzilla and I get Kong, so there you go.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
Oh, it's going to be a tough act to follow, that's for sure. I'll probably see it, but I don't really see it matching or coming close to this film. But yeah, maybe it'll be good as just entertainment, just like something to watch.
Can I get an eject button from Millie Bobby Brown, please?
Is she going to be involved in this new one?
I think so. I don't know. I haven't looked yet, but no, I agree with you on her character. She was one of the more annoying ones, but I mean, I'm looking forward to Godzilla versus Kong again. Again, I'm not going to try and compare the American Godzilla to the Japanese Toho one. It's just they're not the same. They're two completely different animals or monsters.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've only seen the American versions of Godzilla. I don't think I've seen a complete Japanese one. But if anyone wants to get that for me, the box set from Criterion for my birthday, please do. You know.
Well, and here's the thing. I think a lot of you guys, I don't know how many, Jacob, you've seen of the older films. Like, you might have a newfound respect for the legendary films after you see like some of the 70s Godzilla films. I mean, even some of the 60s ones were a little cheesy. I mean, those first 2 or 3, once you get past King Kong versus Godzilla, they really start to veer into kiddie kind of territory after that. I mean, there's a few highlights, but then you get to like, the ones with like Godzuki and stuff like that. They get very, very kid oriented. But then it wasn't until 85 when they redid kind of like a sequel to the first film, like that kind of ignored all the other ones. It kind of took it back more seriously again.
I just want to say that Spencer just bummed me out confirming Millie Bobby Brown.
Well, not
I had a feeling
but
she'd be there.
Ahead. Is all the praise that we heaped on this movie. It's one director, one writer, one consistent story throughout. This new one, the what is it, the New Legacy or something like that, or the New Empire, I should say. It's already confirmed that there's 3 screenwriters for
shoot.
So yeah, you usually know what that means. So.
And no, 3 credited screenwriters.
Yeah, so
that's also true. It could be way more. And yeah, I feel like all of a sudden I'm in the middle of a Michael Bay film. No, it's just.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'll keep hope alive, but it's faint.
Keep hope alive. Yeah, Hope is barely breathing. She's on life support over there. I feel bad for her.
Yeah, we're trying to keep the fire lit with like wet sticks right now. It's not going great, but we'll keep it going. So yeah, a couple announcements to make before we sign off here. As I mentioned earlier tonight, our good buddy Spencer here joining us in the chat. If you hadn't heard the news, we announced it this week on our new Wednesday night show that he is now the new acting editor of chief of Bounding in the Comics. So I mean, that's a guy that pretty much puts in like everything he possibly can into that site here. So there's really nobody better. There's really no other choice for editor in chief than Spencer going as far as that goes. So that's a big announcement for him. And I also have a big announcement to make too, as far as Bounding in the Comics as well. I'm gone. No, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. But I'm actually going to be doing exclusively movie reviews on our YouTube page. So our
Oh, wow.
Bounding in the Comics YouTube page. I'm going to start doing about 3 to 5 movie reviews a week. I'm working with Cider.
Oh.
We're going to be editing some reviews, getting them up on the site. I even came up with an intro. I can only give you guys a preview of our show here, what we got coming up. Hopefully this weekend we can have the Godzilla thing up, but this is just a little intro for the show that I made myself, so I get all the credit for this. So here you go.
Jacob going to make you jump. Sorry. I couldn't resist.
So this is going to be a pretty fun endeavor, because I've been really wanting to get back into movie reviews, especially the video content, and we're going to be able to do that with Bounding over the next several weeks to 7 months. So this is going to be a pretty big thing as well. As you see coming up here on the end of the year, I think I still got like 7 movies, at least 7 or 8 movies that I need to catch up on before the end of the month, because like I said, we're coming up on the end of 2023 here, so I have to watch these films. And believe it or not, Culture, this is actually going to be a down year for me. I might be just short of 100 movies in 2023.
Boo.
So
Boo.
yeah, yeah, this one is going to be a big one, but yeah, I got a lot of things coming up here, so that's just one of the things that we're working on, and I'm really excited for it. And final announcement here, as we know, next week there's not really any big wide releases next week. I know we were gonna. Oh,
Why
I'm sorry.
not?
Is there something that you were looking forward to next week?
Why not? Why not?
Because Hollywood went stupid over the summer, and then they just pushed everything back. So now there's
Wait,
nothing coming out.
you're not looking forward to the Daily Wire movie that's releasing?
I heard it's
Not
not
next
very
week.
good,
Oh, I've heard it's
Oh, there's a sh-
terrible.
There's a
which I
shocker.
warned you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Like I said,
Well, it's on,
how about you
it's on
just
Daily
make
Wire
movies?
Plus, so I'm not going to
Yeah.
see it.
But
Alright.
so instead, next week we'll be bringing back this sucker here. It's our wheel to figure out what movie we're going to be watching next Friday night here on this program. So we have 10 movies.
He rode a
Notorious.
blazing saddle.
Yeah, so here's the 10 movies we have on the list. We have Live from Baghdad, Ghost World, Blazing Saddles,
That's a
Small
good one.
Soldiers,
Small Soldiers are good.
Halloween 3,
Good.
Hollywood Shuffle,
Good.
Car Wash,
Pretty
Good.
good.
Notorious.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember
Tremors
that one.
has been on this list
Yes.
for literally 2 years, and
Escape from New York. How do you
So-
not land on Tremors after 2 years? That's crazy.
That's really weird.
This thing's rigged.
It is.
By the way, Tremors is literally the only movie on this list Rob actually wants to see, and we never land on it.
That's
So, like,
probably
what-
why.
Do you guys have a list of movies you add to it after one gets picked, or
Every now and then we'll add something.
does a
We try
guest get
keep
to
the-
pick one for you?
Well, let's see what we land on here first, and then we can check to see what the next one's going to be. So here will be our movie of the week. For
So are these
next
movies you
Friday.
guys have not
$1,
seen, both of you, or you
$1.
have seen them?
No, some people
Some
have,
and
and some have not.
Oh.
Oh,
And once again, we managed to skip Tremors.
Just skipped it.
Escape from New York. That will be our movie of the week next Friday night. So there you go. So there you can prove once again that there's probably like the 5th time in like 5 weeks that we've almost landed on Tremors, only for it to not land on Tremors.
I had an
So-
offer to watch Tremors from the library, and I declined it because I'm waiting for my first time to be here.
Really? Oh, so
Yes.
that's what I was asking, is if you guys had seen them or not.
Well, some of those films we have seen, some we
Okay.
have not seen. So it's like
Yeah.
it's a hodgepodge.
Last week we Rick experienced Menace to Society for the first time.
Oh, nice.
Menace I Society.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
that-
that's
that
what
was
it is. That's Menace I Society.
Yep.
Stop
Yes.
being a crotchety old man, Culture.
Okay.
I got to experience authentic urban life.
Not
Yes,
really.
in South LA.
Yes.
That's a
Also,
good movie,
not
though.
really.
Yeah, it was better than Schindler's List, apparently.
What?
Well, according to the MTV Video Music Award
I
voters.
forgot about that.
The movie awards, you mean? Yeah.
Yes, they actually voted.
Yeah,
and
it's because a
Historic
bunch of
Society-
12-year-old girls vote for that shit, man.
I'm about to say how many 14-year-old girls watch shit.
It's got Ice Cube in it.
Oh man,
Oh my.
brutal. Well, with that said, I guess we can go ahead and sign off here. So, Rick, I'll start with you. This is your time to shine, so don't blow it.
Oh, please. Of course I'll blow it. First, it was great having a conversation about a good movie for a change. And it was great having a conversation with everyone here. So all I've got is just more reviews, try to catch up on the screeners that I've been getting for year, end of the year consideration. My weekly haikus, which I know that everyone here loves. And of course, anyone who wants to send me that Godzilla Criterion box set for my birthday, which is on Sunday. I'm more than happy to receive all your gifts and tributes. So I love you all.
I hope you feel love. That's all we're gonna say there.
I feel the love. I feel the love.
And then jumping over to our other good buddy joining us here, Culture Casino, who is still flabbergasted.
Tributes? I didn't
Mhm.
get tributes for my birthday, but Tom did send me something extra special.
I did.
Yes, and it is likely one of my favorite gifts of all time
Oh wow!
because I am.
I
the
also
dude.
sent him a Tom shirt.
Oh yeah, well yeah, but that was last year. This is this year.
That's
Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
It's a
So
very
last year I
nice.
sent him a
You should've
Tom
went with
shirt.
Cap-
This year I sent him a doll of himself.
Yeah, he did.
I still
yeah.
say you should have went with Captain Caveman.
I am the dude. No, honestly. So yeah, so I'm just glad to be here. I'm
You're
glad I
a
made it.
Lebowski. I'm the dude.
I'm the dude. I was a little late and I apologize. But yeah, so I'm making a video on Sunday of my hair donation. I'm actually playing with the idea of actually figuring out how the donation thing works on YouTube and sending money to the organization that handles the donation for my hair because they don't sell the wigs, they give the wigs away from the hair donations. So I got to figure out how that works. If I can figure out how that works, that's how that's going to go down for that video. It's something I believe in passionately. It's one of the most important things to me because my family is overrun with cancer, especially the ladies in my family, and that's what inspires me. What also inspires me are great creators like obviously Jacob and Tom and this Rick Flair guy. I don't know, and I guess he gets tributes from like primitive tribes from places. I don't know how that works.
Well, we do have the Tiguas not far from my house, but
Okay, so yeah, check out
We just call him
Spencer.
Gringo.
Check out Spencer doing something now. I vaguely understood something that was happening. Something in his life that's different. I don't know. Anyway, thanks.
And then let's go to our good buddy Tom joining us here on a Friday night. What do you got coming up, Tom?
I am gonna hop over here to I think Loki's show for as much longer as they're going. Otherwise, I have no idea. I might be doing karaoke yet tonight. I don't know. All I know is right now there's 2 good movies to go see in theaters. I can recommend, and that doesn't happen very often. So why don't you go make it a double feature? Grab the wife or the husband, go check out The Shift, then go see Godzilla or vice versa. You'll have a great time. I recommend it highly. Other than that, I'll pop up many places over the weekend. Next place, though, for sure would probably be either tomorrow noontime during Salty Nerd Podcast. Otherwise, I'll be on Flashcast. And we
Yes.
and we have the also have the Sunday night show as well. So hopefully see you guys then.
All right. And then what we got coming up here over the next couple of weeks. So yeah, great show here tonight. If you guys haven't watched our previous shows, our Monday night and Tuesday night show, go check those out. We had a lot of fun those shows, especially the Tuesday night show, because we went on a rant about CM Punk for like 30 minutes, and then we went like 40 minutes talking about Doctor Who, and then I don't know what happened on that show, but go back and watch that train wreck. It was a fun night. This coming Monday night, we're doing episode 21 of the Bible Lens podcast, so we're gonna be doing that one, and then hopefully in 2 weeks, I want to get John Trent on for our Monday Night Bible Lens podcast, because we're going to do some good old-fashioned arguing over the Protestant and Catholic views of Mary, and that should be either a very fun discussion or a shit show. Who knows? But that's going to happen hopefully in 2 weeks. Next Tuesday night, episode 60, I think we went 77 of the Ballroom Podcast. I lose track of the numbers after a while. We've done a lot. So it's somewhere in the 70s. That's going to be Tuesday night. And then next Friday night, we'll be back here on YouTube, Rumble, and on Twitch. And we'll be watching the 1981 film Escape from New York. So yeah, no Tremors again. I don't know what to tell you. We're just never going to land on it. It's just not going to happen. But until then, I want to go ahead and thank all of our guests for joining us here tonight. Rick, Culture, and Tom for joining us.
Can I pick a movie to put in the other spot that's missing, that's got a spot now?
Give us an idea.
Can I play the crazy lady on a plane song?
No, but my suggestion is Police Academy.
I'm telling you, go watch that mother person is not real.
Yeah, no, that song's all right. Yeah. It's growing on me, but it's not great.
I'm telling you guys love it right now. Telling you right now.
I have been forbidden to submit any names because I actually liked Elvira.
Yeah, he's not allowed to give us any more movie recommendations. Yeah. He forced us to watch Elvira a couple of months ago.
I loved it. I'm not apologizing.
I love the character Elvira, not the films.
Yeah,
I like the Mistress of the Dark. I thought was funny and campy.
Yeah.
That was the one he forced us to
watch. It's all right. I mean, I don't know how well it's aged. I haven't seen it in a few years, but
it's still hilarious, and I'll stand by that.
He almost got banned from the show entirely for making us watch that film. So.
I guess you probably should shut up while you're ahead on that one then, Rick.
Dark Scorpio joining us here tonight. Neozoic, Bayanya Rad joining us on the show here tonight. Obviously Spencer, Vanya joining us again. Mongo Thinks on the show here tonight. Mongo! Matt from Australia. Anger G85 joining us here tonight. Grim Storm. Want to make sure that I got everyone. I think we got Duke as well. Rob obviously listening to the show on Twitch as well. So hopefully Rob is going to Kid Rock's bar somewhere in the next 24 hours, or else he's going to have a lot of pain when he gets back from his trip to Nashville. So until then, thank you guys for joining us. We will see you guys hopefully on Monday night, if not Tuesday night, if not next Friday night. Same show, same time. We're hitting outro. I'm not sure if you guys have checked out our new outro. I got a pretty cool outro too. But till then, adios. Good night. We'll see you later. Bye.
It's over. Go home.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Okay.
Get out! Get out!
You get the hell out!
Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick James, bitch.